Hi, my name is Russell Friedman, and I'm responding to a query from Roy H. Williams for stories of failure of epic proportion. And since my story is from way back in the day when I was in the restaurant business, I guess I'll change it to failures of an Epicurean proportion, just for fun. A little prop here is the menu from a famous restaurant I owned. It was called the Budapest Hungarian Restaurant on Fairfax Avenue in Los Angeles, California. Of course, from there you can't read the menu, but this is one of the earliest days menus. And what's fascinating is the full 7-course complete dinner. I'm going to read this for you. The most expensive one, $2.75. Okay, what's interesting for you wine aficionados, a white wine spritzer was 30 cents. I mean, in seeing this menu, which hangs in my kitchen at home, I was reminded of a time that no longer exists and probably never will. But back to the story. Back in the day, I used to advertise on KABC Talk Radio. And the most famous talk show host of that day in this town was a fellow named Michael Jackson. No, not that Michael Jackson. This was the English Michael Jackson, a very urbane, witty, political, bright fellow who was married to Alana Ladd, who was Alan Ladd's daughter. And I'd become friends with them. Anyhow, and when Michael did our ads on the radio, of course, he always pronounced Budapest correctly as Budapest, because Buda and Pest are actually two cities divided by the beautiful blue and muddy Danube River. Anyhow, Michael would say, must go to the Budapest Hungarian restaurant, the food is so excellent, and so on and so forth. So, after 27 years of the place being open only for dinner, and I had owned it maybe 7 or 8 years at that point, I decided that, the rent was all day long, not just at night, and I decided to open for lunch. And we opened for lunch, and we kind of stumbled along, maybe serving 8 or 10 lunches a day, which certainly wasn't enough to pay the utilities. And then I came on a brilliant idea. This was my famous idea, was to use the tagline, "Who says there's no such thing as a free lunch?" So we went on this campaign organized around a particular week of the year. And for weeks and weeks on Michael Jackson's radio show, when he did our ads, he would say, "Free lunch at the Budapest Hungarian restaurant, you must reserve," and so on and so forth. Of course, the only deal factor was they had to pay tax and tip on the value of the meal, but otherwise 100% free anything on the menu that we served. And it was a raging success. There were lines down the street. It's too bad we weren't in modern time with videos like this where we could show you the lines. But back in the day, we didn't have the cell phones and all like that. Anyhow, 300 lunches a day in basically a 100-seat restaurant. We were turning it over 3 times. It was a zoo. It was fabulous. It was exciting. I was doing everything I dreamed of, getting people to know the place, seeing what the food and service were, so that they would come back. And after that week was up and we'd served 1,500 free meals at quite a substantial cost, we went back to business as usual. And over the next few weeks, we averaged maybe 10 or 12 lunches a day. And so this was a surgery where the surgery was successful and the patient almost died. In fact, ultimately, the patient did die. About a year later, I went bankrupt in that place. It was a failure of epic and Epicurean proportion. The only good news, if there is any, is that I went on to have a life and a career that I'm happier than I've ever been. But boy, that was one exciting failure, I want to tell you.